Chapter 3. Raising the Dead. It was a terminal call that interrupted the waiting. Another old ship inbound for them with the same transport crew from before. A huge passenger liner, the captain said. You'll like it. New landing place, Cal said. Mia will guide you in. They'll know where we are, Mia hissed. But we'll soon be advertising exactly where we are, so I don't think it matters so much now. While Mia did her guiding, he went through the other ships getting 6 fuel rods ready for the trade, but he was back in the control room of the Stallion before the new ship came into view. Kira had its details on the extended scanner, and it was big. The biggest spaceship he had seen. The Queen of Arcadia. Kira had found an old review on the web. According to the blurb, it was the most luxuriant ship plying the Pleiades tourist ring. 200 passengers pampered in total luxury. Be interesting to see how much of that luxury still remained. The Queen of Arcadia settled alongside the other ships, and there was a queue to get inside to see the interior. Bet you weren't expecting this, the captain said when he met them at the main hatch. They didn't tell us anything about it, Cal said, the others too busy pushing past to see further inside. I'm assuming this is for crew accommodation. Our guess too. Good ship for that, but a bit dated for the paying passengers, though I'd live there myself. I'll give you the executive tour. So big you could get lost inside, but essentially it was a simple set-out. Adjoining bathroom between 2 large cabins, the pattern repeated over 3 corridors. 1 large auto kitchen as well as a manual food preparation area, leading into a vast dining room, scattered with tables and chairs. As well as storerooms, there was an ancient automedic with a sign saying out of service stuck to it. The one huge positive that Cal could see was that the whole ship was still set up for work. Every bed had clean bedding, and floor mats. The bathroom seemed to be functional, and even the kitchen seemed ready for work. They just stopped using it, the ferry captain said. Bought a new ship and this one was too much money to refurbish for anyone to buy. Between you and me, I really think they wanted it to go for scrap so no one else could set up in competition. That makes sense, Cal said. But it's ideal for what we need now. You setting up a big base by the look. Hoping to, Cal said carefully. Ginny was saying on the trip. Just saying, but if you ended up needing a freighter crew. Not that we're not happy where we are. Just you never know what's going to happen in the future. We've got each other's comm details, so no harm in keeping contact, Cal said. Not that we have any freighter work yet. We're used to these older ships. Maybe not as fast as yours. If we had work, the first work would be to quite close places in maybe that smaller freighter out here. Once they overhaul the thrusters. Good enough as they are to begin. Ginny said she wouldn't know how to handle a new ship. Too frightened she might crash, I think. It takes a very special pilot to push fast, Cal said. But it takes a lot out of her. Tour finally over, now it was time to take the ferry crew back to their base, and that trip turned out to be a very friendly one, this being the 4th time they had traveled together. The hours in ether space the only time they were not nattering. Friendly farewells when the pair were dropped at their base. While we're close, how about we collect another 6 of our pods? Cal's suggestion enthusiastically agreed and Mia set the new course. The guard at Specialist Produce Handlers recognized Cal and the women instantly, and arranged for 6 of their pods to be delivered near the Stallion. The whole visit over in half an hour and the ship back in space toward their base. There, these extra pods were lined up against the last 6 and then Cal asked for a family rest and discussion. What's it to be? Mia said playfully. We can't rest and discuss at the same time. We want to explore that new ship more, Kira said. And check the systems, Kira added. Maybe I'll rest until it's time to discuss then, he said, stretching out on the bed. Us old captains need our rest. Next thing he was woken by the beeping of his terminal. Mr. Slee had a job for a different customer. Only 4 pods, but 700 credits. No sign of the women, Cal accepted the job and set out searching. He found them in the liner, going by the rooms one by one and checking the furnishing. All that quickly stopped and it became a race to get back to the Stallion. Bazaar and loading up 4 empty pods, he yelled as he walked behind the others. Did you note the pickup place? Mia said when Cal came from securing the pods. Automat the auto kitchen supply experts. We haven't been there before. This was a 3/4 of an hour ether space trip for them, the landing site in the middle of a vast number of sprawling industrial buildings, most of them with the word automat painted on their roofs. As they came lower, an automatic message appeared on the screen's terminal, offering landing details and allocating a landing space, the screen showing a map with a preferred route marked in green. I know how to land a ship, Mia muttered when the map flashed red with a warning that they were deviating from the machine's preferred path. Safely on the ground, and in the designated space, Cal lowered the freight ramp and prepared the pods for movement. They are coming for us, Kira said, and Cal turned back to see a bright yellow hover tug heading for the end of the ramp. Order number, the driver of the tug called out. Align those empties behind me. What order number? Cal called back. On your transport order. 2 letters and 5 numbers. Cal found it on his terminal and read it out to the man while the twins were already pushing the pods so they connected behind the tug. Order is ready, the tug driver said looking down at his screen. Changeover should be routine. Cal helped with the last 2 pods and watched while the line of pods snaked their way through the line of freighters. We didn't get a chance to get some free samples, Kira said. And we didn't get a chance to ask about what this place supplies either, Cal said. We'll go and look up the web, Kira said. Cal followed the girls inside and watched the advertising of this place. Basically it was everything auto kitchen. The machines, spare parts and all the prepared bases and additives used to create the final food items. Cal had an unsettling moment as he watched images of the warehouse. Row after row of neatly stacked boxes. Produce taken and sliced and diced and heated and dried and frozen and sterilized and homogenized and crammed into a box. In another row, line after line of additives. The colors and tastes that made the food edible. The kind of food he had eaten most of his life. Even this ship had it. It says the customer sales area is different from this freight area, Kira said. We'll need to fly to a different site over there, Kira pointed to the map on the screen. I don't think we'll bother, Cal said, Mia turning to look at him. I think I'd rather have real food. He walked back to the freight hold and stood waiting for their order to be delivered. Another 10 minutes and the yellow tug was making toward them. Terminal, the driver called to Cal, not bothering to get out of the machine's seat, the transfer done, and him driving off leaving the 4 full pods on the ground in front of the ramp. Not much effort and the freight was loaded and the ship ready to leave. That blasted machine is telling me I'm driving too fast in the exit lane, Mia complained, but Cal noted their speed did decrease until they were a good way clear of that business. I'm glad you don't want to deal with them. When we get back, I want to go and talk to the people where I used to live, Cal said. Might have to rent a car to get there, but I want to get ideas for our business. We can drive, Kira said. Now we're real engineers, we should drive too, Kira insisted. You don't have a driving license, Mia said. Only Cal and me have that. Only you have it, Cal said. I never had the credits for a vehicle. Do you have any licenses at all? Mia asked softly. Cal shook his head. Not too keen on all that imperial stuff. Maybe Mr. Slee could get us all licenses, Kira said. Mia was left shaking her head. Cal never got to hire a car, a message from Jeff changed their plans in an instant. Is it possible to pick up my family and me now? We're being evicted from our ship. Maybe 4 hours, Mia said. You won't take long unloading this freight. Asking for the exact pickup location, Cal messaged saying they should be there in 4 hours. Then him and the twins delivered the 4 pods of freight to the Bazaar freight office and they were ready to fly. Course to New Yankee 7 set, Mia said. New landing coords loaded. Blast off, Cal said. We didn't get a chance to do our bits, Kyra said. You get to do your things all during the flight, Cal said. I only get to sit and watch. The coordinates Jeff had given were quite close to Orbis's building, so Mia took the ship over the building site and ended up circling so everyone could see. Not a trace of the building existed. In its place a wide and deep hole as though a meteor had struck, or maybe it was the site of a new ore mine. All silent as Mia resumed the track, their new path leading to a very old and battered-looking freighter parked against the edge of a small hill, as if to get shelter from strong winds. On the ground alongside the freighter were two smaller ships. One a small miner, the same type they had seen before with Orbis. The other ship, a larger, newer ship, the hull ringed with bands of yellow and white, but no writing that Cal could see. Careful what we say, Cal said as Mia gently put the sea Stallion down alongside the other two ships. I think we'll use the freight ramp. In the time it took him to get the ramp down, there were two men in black, official-looking uniforms, their only identification a band of yellow and one of white on their chest. What you doing here? One of the men barked at Cal. Who's asking? Cal answered, facing the man who had spoken, Cal with his hands on his hips and hearing the twins murmuring something incomprehensible behind him. Official investigators, the second man said when the silence had hung too long. You'll have some ID or warrant then, Cal said, staying where he was. Things don't need to get to that, the second man said. This land is now controlled by Deep Lead Finance, and we need to secure all assets. What's happened? Cal said. We came over that hole where we saw a building last time. Explosion. Huge stock of unstable metals there and looks like the owner was testing a laser miner and... Wuff. Orbis? Cal asked. Nothing left, the second man said. Our company holds his loans, and we need to see what we can recover. How much? Mining is an expensive business. 300 million plus. Cal heard the gasps behind him. Makes my ship loan seem small. Was just recruiting Jeff to work for me. Didn't know all this was happening. We need him gone from this property, the second man said. But only his personal possessions, the first man said firmly. I suppose I'm not going to get my freight bill paid then, Cal said carefully. No hope, the first man said. What freight you got? 2 boxes of return samples. Show us. Everything now is officially property of Deep Lead Finance. The first man was grinning. In that secure freight box, Cal said pointing. You might as well open it, he said turning to the twins. Nothing else, the first man said as he came to peer into the box. We going to get a receipt or something? Cal asked. Can't I sell the contents to pay my freight bill? It was express freight too. This is officially property of Deep Lead Finance and if you take it you will be charged with theft. Give me a hand, the first man grunted. Carrying one box between them and taking 2 trips, both men manhandled the boxes from the storage box out the ship and toward their own ship. Personal items only, the second man said as they were taking the second box. Shouldn't take you long. We need this wreck secured today, the first man grunted. The 2 men seemed to be happy to have found something, and while they gloated over their win, Cal and the women went to Jeff and his family to help load their possessions and selves. Most the kids' things are in that chest, Jeff said pointing to a large metal chest. Maybe move it first. Jeff was glancing toward the 2 men. I've got a trolley. Just as well, that chest was heavy. Cal and Jeff pretended it was not, making light of moving it to the ramp and dropping it at the back of the hold. That trolley is the property of Deep Lead Finance, the first man called out. Leave it by our ship when you're finished. Really there was very little extra to load. A little bedding, some clothes, and some bags of children's toys and such. And the family as well, all being ushered into the control room. Cal took the trolley to the hatch of the inspector's ship. Definitely no chance of getting my freight bill paid then. With the amount he owed, the second man scoffed. Back on the control room of the Sea Stallion, Cal said, "Get this ship into orbit while we sort out what is happening. Jeff with me to the hold. And blast off too." With the ship off the ground, Cal made for the chest, Jeff helping untie the latches and open the top. "It'll take me a week to get unfurled from that cramped coffin," Orbis said as he still lay in the box. "Plan worked a treat, didn't it? Be better when we get you out of here," Cal said. "How did you get him into this? We might need to find a lever." And Cal wasn't joking. While it might have been easy to slide Orbis into the box, gravity was not helping in getting him out. "Wait until we're in orbit and the others can help us too. Maybe we could roll the box up on its side," Jeff said. "He'll roll out then." That idea actually worked well, Orbis rolling out of his confinement, cursing as he came free, his legs still not working well, so he needed one man each side to get him through to the control room. "I'm back from the dead," Orbis announced. "Ready to begin a new life." 15 minutes and we'll need to go into ether space," Mia said. "Only 2 spare chairs, so everyone else on the bed. Cal might find some food for those who are hungry." "Being waited upon by the captain," Orbis said. "That's real service. And I loved the way you handled those 2 goons. Trying to get payment from them was priceless. That's something I would have tried too. You stay around me and soon you'll be able to do deals like an expert like me." "It's deals like pirates would do," Kira said. "I don't want my man doing pirate deals," Mia said. "Now all settle down so I can concentrate on getting us home." An evening of people exploring the passenger liner and making plans for who would have what rooms. People trying the liner's kitchen and Cal bringing some of the produce samples to the liner for those going to be living there. "We've been making places for the Professor and Mr. Slee," Kira said. "We think it best they stay close together," Kira added. All of their passengers saying how great a home it was going to be. When Cal found everyone together, he offered his ideas for the new day. "First thing, Mia and me are going to find some people I used to know and get information about food supplies to diners. While we're doing that, everyone can explore the site more and work out plans of where everything should be put. I want the twins to look for things we need to get to make sure everyone has whatever they need, and when Mia and me return we'll be in a position to discuss exactly where our business goes from here." "What if we get jobs and we're not with you?" Kira asked. "No job until I've found about this produce." "We won't go without you." "Can we get that runabout out of that freighter?" Kira asked. "Orbis will tell you." "I thought that was for him to use," Cal said. "We'd be great at driving it," Kira said toward Orbis. "We haven't crashed at all," Kira added quickly. "What about how we got you?" Mia said. "That wasn't a crash," Kira said. "It was only a thruster problem," Kira added quickly. "We didn't actually crash." The Sea Stallion Book 2. The Base at Grand Bazaar. A Space Adventure. By Mystic Alchemist. Copyright 2024 Mystic Alchemist. All rights reserved. Written in Australian English. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places and incidents are either a product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people living or dead, events or locales is purely coincidental. Cover and text written and assembled by hand without use of artificial intelligence.